Hello and welcome to the Answer Yes podcast. This is the Baja Sessions segment we produce on Mondays, and I always try to have somebody new on that can talk about Baja, people with some expertise, and will give you a good reason to head south of the border. And finally, after much negotiation, I've caught up with Collin over at Transpeninsular Brewery. Collin, what's happening, buddy?
What's happening, Jim? How you doing, buddy?
I know you're slamming and jamming down there. Lots going on at the brewery. I see your Facebook posts. You guys always have something cool going on.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's been a fun ride so far, and really enjoying what we've got going on at Cerveceria Transpeninsular. As you know, you've been there. We're down in Ensenada, and I've been down here for quite a few years, working in the textile industry, and beer was my calling. Since I'm an older guy that liked beer from San Diego, I thought it'd be a great opportunity to enter into a budding market. And so we did. So hence Cerveceria Transpeninsular is born a couple of years ago.
Yes, great idea. Now, I've had the pleasure of stopping in there on many occasions. For somebody that's heading south on Highway 1, they go through the last toll booth. How do you tell them to get to your brewery from there? Because there's a little town in between. But I think you guys are in a great spot right off the main highway.
Well, thanks for asking, man. And yeah, we're really stoked. We're in the northeast corner of Quintas Papagayo. And because of the support from Sectur, which is the Secretary of Tourism of Baja California, they provided me actually road signs, which is super awesome because we were the first brewery to be able to have blue road signs right after the San Miguel checkpoint that basically tows you right in, similar to the blue signs you see up in Valle de Guadalupe. For tourism purposes, the signs are blue and the regular highway signs are green.
Yeah,
so we got markers.
That's right. You can't miss it. And what I always tell people is when you see the Coral Marina Hotel, you're right next door, just one half a block south of that place.
Yeah. As soon as you pass the corral, take a hard right and you pull into our driveway. I mean, basically, when you pass the corral, you're literally passing their exit driveway and you're pulling right into our front parking area right off the highway, right off the Transpeninsular Highway.
Yeah, if you're lucky enough to get some parking. You guys are always so busy, man. There's cars everywhere, right?
Yeah, well, it's been a good ride, and how it works down here in primarily in Ensenada is the shiny new toy always stays busy for like the first 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, knock on wood, the toy's still shiny. We're still very fortunate to have a good crowd coming in. There's been other places that have opened nearby us to kind of, engage in some of our energy. And it still hasn't stopped the flow of people just because, I'm not tooting our own horn, but we're really making some good quality, consistent beer. And that's really the name of the game and why I'm doing this is consistency.
Yeah, I think you have such a great venue. There's plenty of room to spread out. You've got food, you've got beer. You've got that upstairs up there where you can get out on the balcony and see some views of the harbor and the ocean and the sunset. I mean, you kind of got it all figured out right there.
Well, I appreciate that. And another thing that we didn't touch on is we're a family place. I mean, that's a key thing in anywhere, whether you're in the States or Europe or here in Mexico. Family is so important to me, and we've made it really accommodating for families, for both young children all the way up to teenagers that, who wants to hang out with their parents when you're 14, but you know what I mean? But we've made some things there to keep people engaged and let the parents enjoy some libations and some food. And we put a nice toy area up back. And like you said, we have a big balcony so kids can go and get on the internet and check in. We've got a special high-speed Wi-Fi for people that want to, do Instagram and Facebook and things like that. And I think that's a key thing is being family oriented and keep everyone happy while you're there.
Yeah. Well, hey, speaking of family, you just got married not too long ago. So congratulations on that. That's a big move.
Thank you. Yes. I happily married to Gabby. She's an amazing woman. She also helps me with the brewery. She's tough like every Latin American woman is, but I couldn't ask for a better partner in crime. We got married in May.
Does she help or does she actually run that place? Because I've seen her take charge over there quite often.
Put it this way. I'm the owner. She's the boss.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
Yeah, there you go. Nice and safe. Hey, there's a few things I want to cover because I think we've given everybody a good reason why they should walk through your doors. But can you tell us about the craft beer movement down there? And then I want to segue into how you got started. But I really want people to understand, the craft beer movement that's been happening down in Baja. I mean, everybody's, they're busy, right?
Yeah. So basically this whole movement began, I'd say about 7-8 years ago is when it really started. And most people, like yourself, probably didn't see that because, everyone was scared to come to Baja. But it really started in Tijuana and Mexicali. And for those reasons, it was a few pioneers that, went to San Diego State or traveled back and forth between TJ and Mexicali and San Diego that had family and friends that were on both sides of the border. The first known real craft movement in the artisanal side was in TJ.
Okay.
And there was a few other people that called it artisanal beer, but they immediately got slurped up by Tecate and Corona. So when you hear the name, Cuca Pa or Minerva or some of these guys, you might as well be drinking Lagunitas or Samuel Adams or something like that because it's false. And there was a brief moment where they were artisanal, but they did it for the reasons unlike ourselves. They did it to simply get bought out and make a quick buck. And good on them, good business plan, but now they're basically, sold and rolled. But brands like Cerveceria and Insurgente, Fauna, guys like that, those guys really were the pioneers. And I really give it all the credit to Insurgente out of Tijuana. They're two brothers and a mom who's been in an accounting firm in TJ since the days of yore. And they really were the ones that brought that West Coast, real craft beer inspiration to Baja California.
Well, and I look at your facility and how far it's probably come, in terms of beer movement. You guys are all doing a great job down there. I think you have an incredible product. I know that me and my fellow off-road compadres, we like going to your place just because I think you nailed it for our palates. But it is exciting to see the beer movement grow. Now, you mentioned Tijuana. Don't you guys have a new location over there?
Yeah, so what we did is we had the opportunity to partner up with some really neat people in TJ, Caesar and Patty. And Patty's father is the original owner of Tequila Sunrise, which was a booming, patio deck, open top kind of party place back in the 80s. And his best friend is Oscar Escobedo, who is the Secretary of Tourism for Baja California.
Okay.
So Oscar really supported me he actually seeked me out and said, hey, look, we've got this spot in TJ that could use a little oomph. I have some longtime family friends that want to do something with craft beer, but just really haven't made anything stick yet. And he asked me if I was interested. And, as any ambitious business person, you always want to say yes to everything. And I think you told me that saying yes to everything doesn't always work. But in this case, and it's true, you did. That was some sound advice. There's always the next deal or it's always the best thing in front of you. But this truly was a great match. And what it landed us was a rooftop open patio tap room right on Revolution Avenue, a block away from Caesar's, the famous Caesar's where the salad was created, allegedly. And into what is now the movement on Revolution, where all the brewers are trying to get spots because it was considered like kind of a gross area. There was a lot of prostitution and not so much crime, but people just hustling, selling, the blankets and all the crap that you can buy at the border.
Yeah.
And there was really no restaurants. And now what we've seen in the last 4 years is myself, along with 3 or 4 other great, smaller artisanal guys doing beer, mainly satellite tap rooms. There's only 2 guys actually brewing there in that area. You got Norte Brewing, and you've got Mamut. They're both actually really brewing right there on or near Revolution. But you also have a lot of restaurants that are popping up, really cool spots. Verde Crema, which is a spot on the other side of TJ. They just opened up a 2-story restaurant, catty corner to us. There's food collectives starting to be built where there'll be, 7 or 8 up-and-coming chefs from TJ, because everyone thinks Ensenada is really the gastronomic movement of Baja, and they're sadly incorrect. Really, the action's in TJ. The food that's coming out of TJ is absolutely amazing. The creativity, driven by Javier Plasencia and Chef Rufo and a couple other great people. So Revo's blowing up right now, and we're excited to be there. And we're like I said, we're in a little partnership with some people that run the place mainly, but we gave it the charisma with the brand and decorated as such with the highway signs and gave it the feel of Ensenada, but it's still in TJ. And we did a 30-foot mural with a gigantic digital wallpaper of the brewery inside, so you feel like you're standing in front of the tanks.
Yeah.
And a picture of the facade out front. So basically, we're trying to do, Jim, is make a gateway for people to go, oh, wow, this is great, TJ. Let's go check out the brewery. Oh, there's wineries, there's restaurants. There's, basically pushing people to check out Ensenada.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I love the pro tourism aspect of all that. Can you talk real briefly about, you're in TJ doing business there now. I think it's a wonderful town, but, you've got so much skepticism about crossing the border and spending actual time in TJ. But what a wonderful place it is now with the food and the beer movement, right?
Oh, my gosh. I love TJ. TJ's awesome. And it's always been a special place for me, even when it was down in the dumps. Mm-hmm. If I could just segue real quick so you can understand why I have passion for TJ is twofold. My family in the late 70s and early 80s, my stepmom, who pretty much raised me, is from Mexico City. And my late grandfather, he brought Sarah International, which was a big department store out of Mexico City, to Revolution Avenue in 76. So I have vivid memories of hanging out in downtown Revolution, playing around. It was not sketchy. You took pictures with the striped donkey and the whole 9 yards.
I got one of those.
Yeah, I think if you don't have, that's a rite of passage. If you don't have one of those, you might as well stay in the States.
Yeah,
that's like your ID, your memento of being into Baja. But I fell in love with TJ early because just the movement and knowing that it's a fronterizo city. You know what I mean? You have a melting pot of people there. And it's got some rough areas like any city does. I mean, San Francisco's rough, downtown San Diego, LA. But it's not, people aren't dying in Tijuana.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a beautiful place. And like I said, that's what got me started early. And then what made me move to business in Baja was the screen printing industry, which I'm still in. I think I own a company called BC Supply.
Yep.
And I provide inks, machinery, supplies, and technology to both the textile market as well as the industrial screen printing, and that would be more on the lines of like dealing with membrane switch overlay guys and guys that print Coca-Cola machines and so on and so forth. So I was doing a lot of business in TJ in 2001 to present date during when it was really rough, during when all this stuff was going on in 6 and 7 with some of your comrades in the racing industry having some bad experiences, which is really a bummer. But TJ's always been moving forward, and it's always been providing a good platform for industry, for the States, and also, trying to recover from all the stuff that it dealt with during the Arellano Felix days of all the cartels and all that, because it was present.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, it was there.
Yeah.
But it was also in Chula Vista. It was also in Los Angeles. I mean, it didn't just stop at the border.
Yeah.
So that's how I fell in love with TJ. So we moved our warehouse there in 2007 from San Diego. We had a warehouse in Otay, which we still do. Mm-hmm. And in 2007, I opened up in an area called Colonia Linda Vista, which is just when you start to go over the hill towards Playas. And that's when I really discovered the movement of craft beer and, obscure little places. Because, San Diego was just rocking. And, we would go back across the border to go to Karl Strauss or, Ballast or Stone or whatever. But when I found that there was like little cubbies that was pouring cerveza artesanal, craft beer, mm-hmm. we started to support it. We started to check it out. And don't get me wrong, it was rough. I mean, it was like glorified homebrew for the first handful of years, as anyone would, even including in the San Diego movement. But the fact that there was something cooking there and it was moving, it got me thinking early on about, okay, what's my next career move? I'm in my, at this time, late 30s, early 40s.
Yeah.
I started seeing Walmart and Target basically disintegrate my industry with the way they were treating my customers, and was married at the time to a different person, and I really wanted to live in Mexico. And I wanted a career shift, and